Alright, well, that got done. I said pause, but this is going to be part 3. And if you notice right here, it says build successful. Otherwise, it would have crashed. It came up with a message down here too, telling you it was successful. So I'm going to close this, and you got to remember where you published it to. Remember the publish folder we made, which it should be in the shooter game folder under publish, and you'll have this Windows no editor, and right here the DefaultEngine.exe, this is the exe that you will want to give your friends or anybody that's going to run a client, even you yourself. This is what you're going to want to click on, and after we build a dedicated server, it will end up going in this folder down the line, and I will point that out when the time comes. But real quickly here, if we click on this, it's going to go ahead and launch that. It's going to take us here, and if you guys haven't seen this menu yet, I'll quickly go over it. Now, here's the join. If you hit join, go to server, it's going to be searching, and it's not going to come up with anything. And I can't figure out exactly how to get this to work yet. I haven't had enough time to figure it out, but so I'm not really worried about that right now. But I just wanted to let you know, if you're thinking you're going to connect that way, you're not going to. You are not going to use the join button. You are going to use the tally key or the tilde key below the escape key. And you can see right down here, this opens up down here, and when the time comes I'll show you, but I just wanted to point it out real quick. Oops, we'll close that. So anyhow, we'll go back up to host and hit enter, and we got some menus here. We can set the number of bots, and if we look in here, there's our maps, Ladrang and Dacto. Now if we wouldn't have changed them lines of code in Visual Studio, this would never show up here. That's how that ends up working. You can change the number of bots, and we should be able to turn these all the way up to, I think, 50 or whatever we set it at. But the default is 8. Let's just crank this up real quick. And then I'm going to click Team Deathmatch. And wait, let's go to the map I just made, the Ladrang. And I hope I got enough spawn points. But anyhow, let's see. This is just for fun and kind of show you what you guys will end up with. And just quit. I shouldn't have put so many bots on there, but that just kind of shows you what's going on there. So okay, we got a good client.exe. So now we need our dedicated server, and okay, I'm just going to leave that open for now. And to get our dedicated server, I don't think I changed anything, but I always want to save, and nothing's happening, so I didn't change nothing. So because I'm going to go ahead and shut the debugger off, and it's going to kill the, and what I'm going to do now is we want to go up here, and we want to go down to development server. Click on that, and after we do that, and once it reloads everything up, I'm going to clear out my search box here. You want to find your shooter game right here, this particular file, and you're going to want to right click on it, and we're going to go down to rebuild, or your first time you can click build, but I'm going to click rebuild. And man, I hope it's going to take a while. I'm just gonna let it play out, I guess. I can't wait till NVIDIA Shadow Play puts a pause button in, because I mean it's such a pain to edit the video trying to you know, get them all to play in right and everything. So just fast forward this section. Oh man, it's just taking forever. You can see down here where we're at. It definitely takes a while. Gee whiz. Hey, there it is, shootergameserver.exe. That's what we're looking for. Awesome. And there's where they're putting some of the files. Almost done. There it is. 3 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 skipped. Alright, so that's what we needed. So we want to go get this exe, and the exe is going to be, we're going to start out back here at C, Unreal. I made that folder, remember, but it's going to be in your shooter game binaries, Win64, and right here we've got, what is it, 4 files, and there's our shootergameserver.exe that we just made. So I'm going to grab these 4 files because we need to copy these, because they won't work in this directory. I don't know, that's kind of screwy, but they won't work here. So we got to go back out. Okay, here's our shooter game folder. This time we want to go into publish though, Windows no editor, and we want to go in here. Remember in the beginning when I told you we're going to go in this folder? Well, here we go. Shooter game binaries, Win64. And okay, these server that are already in here, I need to delete these because these were from my previous build. So I'm just going to delete those. And you should have this shootergame.exe in here. If you don't, you can go back out and copy the one that we launched on that I was playing with earlier. But you want to paste the server.exe in here. Okay. Now if you click on it, it's still not going to work. You have to, I believe if we just create a shortcut here, and then go to your shortcut and go to properties, we have to on the end of this, we have to put, at bare minimum, just to launch the server, we have to put a space and then a minus sign and then log. That's it. And that's still not going to, I don't think that's going to launch the map. Let's see what this does. I just clicked it. There, it launched a dedicated server. But it did not, it launched a server, but it did not launch, launch with a map. So we need to put some more information next to log, and I can't remember exactly, so I'm going to go back to one of my other shortcuts I already made. I'm going to copy and paste it here. We want, right here is what we want. I'm just doing this to save from typing. Back to properties. And there's our minus log. I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to paste this in here. Okay, now this is what this right here is all we put behind the .exe. All of this is still default. So, oops, darn it. So once you get that in there, and you're going to want to name your map here. Like I'm going to change this to Ladrang, because I want the dedicated server to launch with that map. Okay, and that looks good, and we're going to hit apply. Make sure you hit apply, and if you don't have the right spacing or something in here, it'll give you an error and say that you can't apply it. Go through and figure out where you messed up. There has to be a space in between here. And click OK. Now go back to the shortcut and click it. It's going to launch with that map, and I just seen it load all the RAM up right here. This Steam module, you can disable that. There's a way to do it, but it's not necessary. So this is your dedicated server, and that's pretty much it. That's how you get that going. Now I'll go ahead, and what I'm gonna do, so like I said, this .exe right here, give to your friends, and then you want to come back out here to Windows No Editor right here, and right here is my other compressed. I'm going to delete it. We're going to recompress this, because this here, these files, you need all these files to put on your server box. If you're going to run a dedicated server, then you need to take all these files and put on your dedicated server. And while that's packing, I'm going to go through my network here and get ready to transfer those over to my dedicated server. So this is going to my server box out in my garage. This is on the network. As soon as this gets done packing or whatever, it's not necessary to pack it. And when I transfer it, I'm not even going to transfer it, but if you were like, you know, if you had it at a data center or something, you'd want to package it up and send it off that way. And it's just good practice to have it packaged, I guess. As soon as this is done, come on. So I'm just going to drag the folder over into the network. I'm going to go ahead and shut this server off. This is on my other server box. I'm connected through remote desktop connection here. Okay, it looks like it all transferred over. So we're going to go back where I just come from, and here's the folder. I'm going to drag this. Oops, I need to delete this other one. Before I do that, I'm just going to drag this out onto the desktop. And while this is transferring, I'll put a list in the comments of the router ports that you need to have open so that your friends can connect to the dedicated server. If you don't know how to port forward, you need to go on YouTube and watch some videos on how to do it for your router. But 777 is the most important one. So, you know, you're going to want to make sure you have all your router ports port forwarded properly to your server box. And I guess while this is doing this, we'll go ahead and get the game on my computer here. I'm just going to shut this off. I'm going to shut off Visual Studio. I'm going to go ahead and get the game launched here. And remember, this is our client, so launch with this. And I'm going to Alt-Tab out of here. We'll go back over to Remote Desktop. This is almost done. All I did here was transfer the files from my computer to my garage server box. That's all I'm doing here. It might help you guys to understand how the dedicated server works. You could do this on your machine. You could set a listen server up, but that's a little different. This is a true dedicated server. Okay, so this transferred, and we're going to want to go in here and go back in here to our server. And now this shortcut won't work because we changed everything already, so you might as well we can delete that. And since this is my server box, oops, come on, what happened here? It won't let me drag the box. There we go. Okay, so here's your shooter game server.exe, and we're gonna make a shortcut on the desktop. Here's two of them I already got, but you're gonna want to go send to, and I just right clicked on the exe, by the way. Right click, send to, and desktop, create shortcut. And this will allow you to edit the properties. This is the one we just made. So, and just like this one here where I showed you, we want to do the same thing. We got to come up here, copy. We got to put this on the end. We got to tell this server to load the map. And there's a bunch of other server variables that I was looking on the website, but I am not for sure how they all work yet. So I wanted to make this video and then play around, and maybe it makes some different videos later on. So we want to put our map in here, Ladrang. We'll make sure there's a space there, and apply. And if we did everything right, if we double click this, we should launch our server with the map. Looking good. And there goes the RAM. Sweet. And there goes the map. Awesome. Okay. So, dedicated server is running. Like I said, this is on my server. And this machine here is an old machine. It's not that powerful. And it's running this pretty good. So now we'll go back. Here's our game. And like I said, it really sucks that this part doesn't work. I always go to it hoping it's going to show up, but it never does. Nope. I don't know what's the matter with it. We'll go back. Okay, so this is how you got to tell your friends and everybody to join for now. And this is how I'm going to join. Hit the tilde key like I was saying, and type the word open, space bar, and then the server box is IP, meaning it's external IP address. Since I'm on the network, I am going to type in 192. Because I know this is my router. This is where the box is at right now anyhow. So I'm typing that IP in, but you'll have to use, you know, the IP for your machine. And there we are. You are now playing on your dedicated server. Get the multiplayer. You got all the weapons and stuff, and all the cool stuff. I hope I didn't forget to show you guys anything, but you got a scoreboard, and everything seems to work. And real quickly, if I go to main menu, I'll show you guys something else. I'll go back to my other map. We will see. I never did the two maps, so we'll go back to Dacto and hit. We'll go like 20, then team deathmatch. Scoreboard, the timer, you can get out of here. You can turn the cheats on if you want. All kinds of cool stuff. There's default shooter. Works out pretty well. And like I said, I hope I didn't forget to show you guys anything. I know. Oh, I guess too, real quick. You want to go back into your shooter game, and you want to go to the config file, and in here, here's the default INI. There's a whole bunch of different stuff you can play around with in different settings, and I think this is where I changed the timer. You can change the timer and all kinds of other stuff. And if it's not in here, it's in one of these default game INN. I'm not for sure. But you can change that stuff, and if you change that stuff before you bake the dedicated server, it'll actually bake out into the dedicated server, and those settings will take effect. And I think that's it. I can't think of anything. I hope I help somebody. I know this is going to help me later down the road if I ever have to come back to this. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.